I got a big show for you today. Folks, the situation in the negotiations for Ukraine, the future of Ukraine, the future of Russia, the European Union are getting really hot. And they're getting really hot right now. And the media, of course, is mischaracterizing the whole thing to the point that even insiders are starting to say right now, well, at least Trump is saying out loud what Biden was trying to do privately. Biden just didn't have the courage to say it. I'll get into that in a minute, and I want to ask a critical question. What did Zelensky know, and when did he know it? Folks, I documented this extensively in my book, Follow the Money, how this insane in Ukraine, that's the name of the chapter, how Ukraine has been treated like a piggy bank for a long time by a lot of people. It's one of the reasons Donald Trump was impeached, and Zelensky knows about it. Why hasn't he come clean on that? We got a lot to talk about today. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is going to start with a bang. Today's show brought to you by Beam. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 47% off your first order. Get a good night's sleep. Today's show also brought to you by ExpressVPN. Who knows you better than yourself? Well, if you own a smartphone, a computer, or any internet-connected device, there are thousands of companies out there who know you better than you do. They're called data brokers, and they make billions of dollars a year tracking your online activity. They package all that up into a profile they then sell to people who want to control you. So what can you do about it? Well, you can get off the internet entirely, or you can start protecting yourself with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN gives you a new IP address and a location you choose, so it can't be traced back to you. Because ExpressVPN encrypts and reroutes your network connection through secure servers, your internet traffic's so private, not even your internet provider can get their hands on it. ExpressVPN works on any device that you connect to the internet. Just one click, and you've got private, secure internet. Right now, you can get 4 extra months of ExpressVPN for free. So go to expressvpn.com/Bongino to learn more. EXPRESS, expressvpn.com/Bongino. Reclaim your privacy today. All right, fellas, let's go. Again, my lovely wife, Paula, manages this store. She did this shirt. You guys like it? Pick one up. We'd love you to. Your call, store.bongino.com. So much winning. The winning just keeps coming in fast and furious. So we love you. She loves you. I know you like the Chum. We call it the Chum store. So we'd love you to pick one up. So, folks, before I get to what did Zelensky know and when did he know it, because I'm telling you, you have to listen to Brother Bongino here. You will never understand the Ukraine situation until you understand the whole Ukraine situation. Looking at it through a simple lens of, good guy, one guy good, one guy bad is very, very simplistic and does not describe all of the mechanics of what's going on and what happened here. You'll see what I mean in a minute, but I want to play this first because there's so much winning. I can't get enough of these clips of Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is the deputy chief of staff at the White House under Donald Trump. I think going on CNN and humiliating them there is a really good idea. Some people disagree. They say, stay off these crazy networks. But this is where a lot of persuadable people are. I think the biggest mistake the liberals made in the last election, Kamala Harris and others, is not going on Joe Rogan and Fox. Not that they would have convinced us, but they got smoked. Icing out Fox and others. Don't replicate this strategy. I know some of you disagree. Totally cool. This is not a monarchy. You're entitled to your own opinion. A lot of people online, stay off these networks. Totally cool. I disagree. I used to do CNN all the time. I used to love to argue over there. This is Brianna Keeler, obviously not very bright. Listen to her ask a question about Doge to Stephen Miller, get completely wrecked by an intellect 10x hers, right? And then pretend she knew the answer the whole time, which makes you wonder if she knew the answer, why did she ask the question? This is just another one of those epic own the libs moments. Check this out.
So who is in charge of Doge?
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of Doge?
No, the Doge is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the executive office of the president, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
The way that Article 2 works is a president wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles,
yes,
including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Does she not know that? So the president's running. Do you understand how stupid this is? The president appoints the director of the Secret Service, too. It doesn't mean the president is sitting in the Secret Service office over on 8th Street and headquarters on the 8th floor, sitting there making decisions. But the Secret Service under the Department of Homeland Security works for the president. Brianna, I'm serious. Are you this dumb or are you just playing dumb? Do you think the CEO of the Ford Motor Company, who has a technology development division, is working on in his office a microprocessor for their new whatever electric car? Do you think he's actually doing that right there? You mean he's not the administrator? Are these people this stupid? The answer is they're not. They're not. They're playing dumb because they're not serious people. What they're doing is they're trying to find a way to object to the Doge, Elon Musk, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and government employees in the Doge uncovering the fraud that people in the left-wing media are trying to protect. So what do? They're just inventing new arguments every day. What do you mean the president's not the administrator of Doge? Are you this stupid? All right, moving on. Do you guys in the chat, do you guys want me to stop playing this stuff on CNN? I got to tell you, there's no, I know we talk about edutainment, educational entertainment. There's really no educational value to this at all. I'm serious. It's only entertainment. I just get a kick out of Stephen Miller owning the libs on CNN. Do you want me to stop? No. Who's that? Elaine, Corn Pop, Janet. No, okay, good. I like it too, and it's a good way to get the day started. Let's get to the serious stuff now. Time to put, as my fifth grade teacher, Miss Gilfeather, used to say, time to put your thinking caps on. Folks, I am not going to engage in simplistic reasoning with you here. The world is a very complicated place, and the margin matters. There are good guys who can do bad things. There are bad guys who can do things that may be good for us. There are mediocre guys who can do nothing, making them, in fact, bad players because they do nothing. The world is not an easy place of Captain America and the Red Skull. Kids think like that. I'm really getting sick of the left-wingers out there and even some kind of war hawks on the right when they discuss Ukraine, leaving out various factors here that are important. Yes, can we all agree on some basic facts? The Ukrainians did not deserve any of this, okay? I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that the Ukrainian people were the bad guys in this. If the Ukrainians stopped fighting, there'd be no Ukraine. Has been said many times. If Russians stopped fighting, there'd be peace. Fine. That argument is a solid and decent data-based argument to make. But suggesting here that Zelensky, the current president of Ukraine, that his hands are clean in what's been a global attack on populism and Donald Trump is ridiculous. Donald Trump knows this, folks. There's a Truth Social post he put out just minutes before we got on the air where he's starting to ask simple questions. Thank you, guys. Got this up pretty quickly. He says, hey, we spent hundreds of billions of dollars in a war that couldn't be won and never had a start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, will never be able to settle. He's talking about Zelensky. He's talking about all this money we spent, more than Europe, and the United States is getting nothing back. Why is Donald Trump so upset about this? He's talking about Zelensky not hosting elections, too. Not holding elections, excuse me. Folks, Donald Trump was impeached. Impeached from... luckily won the trial, of course. Well, it wasn't luck. It was a crap case. But because of a phone call with who? Anybody know? Zelensky. The phone call, the allegations at the time, in case you forgot, you probably didn't, was that it was a quid pro quo call that Donald Trump was calling because he wanted information about Hunter Biden in exchange for military support. The transcript, of course, was released by the Trump team. The transcript showed no such quid pro quo. It did show, in fact, Donald Trump asking Zelensky about what the Biden team was up to in Ukraine, because I believe Donald Trump, in his head, believed there were serious violations of U.S. law that could have caused a national security crisis. The Biden team had a number of suspicious business dealings with Ukrainian officials, and Trump was trying to get to the bottom of it. Zelensky knew what happened on that phone call. Why? Because he was on the phone call. But I want you to remember a little bit of history here. Zelensky could have saved the United States a lot of drama by immediately coming out and defending Donald Trump vigorously and loudly and uncovering for the American people what Joe Biden had been up to, because he knew it's his government. But he didn't. He didn't. So Donald Trump, I can almost guarantee you, who knows this, is very suspicious of Zelensky because of what he and some of the people in his government did to sweep under the rug the Joe Biden madness, which led to Donald Trump's impeachment. I'm going to serve you a little reminder here. This is a New York Post video, right? This is a hat tip New York Post. This is a recorded phone call between Joe Biden and Petro Poroshenko, who was the president of Ukraine before Zelensky from 2014 to 2019. I want you to listen about how afraid Joe Biden is, how he's lobbying Poroshenko to basically make this thing go away, and he'll sign this $1 billion IMF aid package if Poroshenko makes it go away. Now you may say, well, this was Poroshenko, not Zelensky. Folks, Zelensky knows about all of this. You think he's unaware of what his government was up to with Joe Biden before? And I want you to listen to the part where Poroshenko says clearly, well, it's a little bit of an accent, but clearly, I mean, that he doesn't have any negative information, but he'll fire the people looking into this stuff anyway to protect Joe Biden. Zelensky knows this. It's going to lead to my next story about Zelensky in a second. But check this out first.
Assuming that there is a new government and a new prosecutor general, I am prepared to do a public signing of the commitment for the $1 billion.
And despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, we don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him, no, it was the day before yesterday, I especially asked him to resign.
Congratulations on installing the new prosecutor general. It's going to be critical for him to work quickly to repair the damage Shokin did. And I'm a man of my word. And that now that the new prosecutor general's in place, we're ready to move forward in signing that new $1 billion loan guarantee.
Folks, I know many of you, especially the P1s, have heard this before, but you can't hear this enough. Again, hat tip New York Post. Two things happen in this phone call. Biden, again, is celebrating that a prosecutor in Ukraine looking into Biden family corruption in conjunction with Ukrainian officials, that the official got fired. The president at the time, Poroshenko, clearly says, I specifically, or he says specially, I think he meant specifically. He says, I specially asked him to resign, even though I had no evidence of corruption. You just heard it. No one disputes the authenticity of the tape. This is the famous son of a bee thing. Well, I had him fired. Son of a bee, I had him fired. The guy was looking into Biden's family, and they had him fired, despite no evidence of corruption. What does that have to do with today's story and what's got me all fired up this morning? You know, we don't cover a ton of foreign affairs on the show, but I'm telling you, man, this has me really pissed off. I've been writing about this forever. I'm telling you, the whole first chapter of my Follow the Money book is about the Ukrainian piggy bank, how people have been using this place for years, and Ukraine could clean it up if they would just clean up their own government, and they don't want to do it. Zelensky knows all of this. That is what Trump was talking about, and he didn't clear it up. This geopolitics thing is complicated. That's why this got me really riled up this morning. Daily Mail. This is from just this morning. Zelensky condemns Trump. Really? Hold on. Leave that up there for a minute. Listen, man. I'm sorry, but this guy has got to be one of the worst international negotiators I have ever seen. As you saw from the Truth Social post, Donald Trump, the United States government, President Biden before, the American people have been bankrolling a significant chunk of the Ukrainian defense effort. And you're condemning our president? We picked? Zelensky condemns Trump. Ukrainian leader says the U.S. president is in a disinformation bubble. He's not in a disinformation bubble. You guys helped create it. The disinformation was he was impeached over a quid pro quo that never happened, and you knew about it. He's in a disinformation bubble, they say. Demanding $500 billion in minerals is not a serious conversation, and says Donald Trump has helped Putin. Really? How exactly has he helped Putin? He's giving you, the Ukrainian government, hundreds of billions of dollars. All he's asking is we're $30 trillion in debt. If we are going to help you stave off annihilation by the Russians with our money that we're already in debt, then there should be some path to making this whole. So I've got an idea. You guys have rare earth minerals in Ukraine that we need. It's in sensitive territory, by the way, that this is another, you're not really hearing this angle anywhere else. The rare earth minerals are in sensitive parts of Ukraine that the Russians are going to want. This deal I hate the term win-win because it's so stupid and juvenile, but this is a win-win-win-win-win. We get paid back for the massive amounts of money we're spending in Ukraine. We get rare earth minerals we need here desperately because China's getting ready to shut us down. And it's on land that the Russians could and want to take over. They're not going to take it over if they're our rare earth minerals because they know they'd be toying with us. So what does Zelensky do? He, quote, condemns Trump, and he's in a disinformation bubble. You know, I am not an anti-Ukrainian war effort guy. I got an open mind on all this. I only ask this, tell me how it benefits the United States. Make a compelling case. Give me an exit ramp about what our battle plan is and what it looks like when we win, and I'm open to hearing it. But I'm telling the Ukrainian government that supports Zelensky and Zelensky himself, this is the biggest podcast out there. This is not a small operation. You're making a huge mistake. This is not the way to handle this. Donald Trump's helping Putin. Really? Are we back now to the collusion thing? And why don't you come clean about the Poroshenko tapes and all this other stuff? And finally clear up that the impeachment thing was a hoax. I told you when I opened up the show, there are a lot of people in the United States who are starting to realize, there's a couple op-eds even in the Wall Street Journal, that Donald Trump is simply saying out loud what Joe Biden was too cowardly, wouldn't say out loud before, but was doing anyway. That there is no way at this point that this war is going to end with everybody being happy. It is the nature of human violence. It is sad. It is horrifying. There is no way that this ends with everybody throwing a McDonald's birthday party at the end, okay? It's not going to happen. Sorry, I was just a little fired up about that. And one more thing about that, the New York Post audio clip. Notice how the Ukrainian lawmaker who gave the tapes to Rudy Giuliani, instead of the press scrutinizing the tapes outside of the New York Post, which did a great job, who did they attack? Rudy Giuliani. They don't want you to know anything about Ukraine, Zelensky, the piggy bank, because a lot of them benefited from it. Telling you, just read the book. Just read the first. Get it from the library. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's been out forever. Please follow the money. Read the Ukraine chapter. I need you to. I need you to understand what happened there with Soros, with the FBI, the Open Societies Fund, the Aunt AC, Daria Kalaniuk, all of them. Once you understand how they all interacted, this whole thing makes sense. You'll see why Trump is so aggravated at what's going on in Ukraine. All right. I made a point to you the other day about the conservative ecosystem. I was talking about my Twitter buddy, Chicago Ray. There's others out there that I've never met. I don't never even seen their faces, but the conservative ecosystem is all about helping each other out. The liberals aren't. Remember me saying that the other day? You want to hear a Democrat? Jen Psaki, of all people, confirm it? I'll play that for you coming up next. That's the difference between us and them. Some good news opening up the show. How well do you sleep at night? Peace of mind can come from knowing your family's prepared for anything. Do what I do. Shop My Patriot Supply and get their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. Folks, I have one for every member of my family. You should too. It's not typical survival food. Each kit has 2,000 calories for each day and 100% of the recommended value of 12 vitamins and minerals for 90 days. The meals are delicious. Chicken, beef, fruit, veggies keep you alive and strong in a crisis. If you're waiting for the government in a crisis, you're out of luck. The meals last up to 25 years in storage. They taste great. The pandemic taught us how quickly store shelves can empty out. Remember that? Don't wait for the next crisis. See this crazy story about an asteroid today in 10 years? Hopefully I get to it. I don't want anybody to panic, but seriously, you got to be prepared. You never know. An emergency happens and you don't want to starve to death, right? Patriot Supply, My Patriot Supply, free shipping and a disaster replacement warranty and a 24/7 U.S.-based support awaits you. Order today. Special discounts available for a limited time only. So go to mypatriotsupply.com now. Help secure your family's future with a $100 discount. If you order by 3 p.m., they'll ship your orders same day, so you'll have peace of mind right away. The website's mypatriotsupply.com. Again, mypatriotsupply.com. Do it today. Get prepared. So I made the point the other day, and again, I don't want to ever waste your time here, but this is a serious thing, and you guys should pat yourself on the back. One thing about the conservative information ecosystem, X, True Social, you get it, Rumble, YouTube, I'm just talking about how information passes around and we pick it up. You may watch a YouTube channel, Rumble channel. You may follow me on X, retweet my stuff. I retweet yours. I don't want to make it like a moral thing, like we're just better, good people. We're just smarter with the messaging. We have democratized information exchange better than the left, and there's a reason for it. It's my cannibalism theory. The left is in love with power, and they see power as a zero-sum game, the left. I don't want to get too deep into this, but in other words, if Evita's show, if me and Evita were lefties, she's sitting right over there. If me and Evita were big lefties, right? The lefties see power as zero-sum. So Evita's success, I would see it as taking it from me. So I wouldn't promote Evita's stuff. I'm like, wow, man, but I never thought she'd be that successful. Maybe she's taking some people from me. Conservatives don't do that. Conservatives see this as not a zero-sum game, but as additive. Like, wow, Evita's going to bring in maybe some younger listeners for me. She covers different issues. And then you know what? Maybe I promote her stuff and she takes some Bongino Army folks over on our side. It's an additive, positive externality game. I mentioned Chicago Ray. You got Insurrection Barbie. You've got all these great accounts. Maze Moore, Western Lensman. Forgive me if I'm not. Jeff Carlson. There's 1,000 people on X, I could tell you, for 10,000 who are really good. And it only does the movement good for us to cross-promote people's stuff. That's why we make such a big deal out of hat tipping people. The left don't see it that way. Watch Jen Psaki on this Jon Stewart segment here talk about exactly this. She knows it. Check this out.
Look, they're kicking progressive ass right now. And if progressives don't organize their media, their think tanks and all that, it's going to continue to happen. It's chaos.
Well, I will say, broadly speaking, I'm not going to say Democrats. I'm going to say people on the left do not do that the right does very well is support within the system each other. I'm serious. And what I mean by this is this, right?
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn appears on Joe Rogan's show, right? He promotes what Joe Rogan's doing, but they all promote all of the things each other are doing and what the elected officials, I guess, are doing too. And the left is a little bit more kind of discombobulated in terms of supporting the different entities on the left. There is not a left ecosystem that matches the right ecosystem.
Yeah, she's correct. This is one of the first things Peppermint Patty said in a long time that's actually accurate. And you guys should be very proud of yourself for this. This is kind of a celebratory moment, not meant to be some kind of educational thing. It's just meant to reward really, really good behavior, so we keep doing it, me included. This reminds me that what we do is different. We don't see the success of Western Lensman or Maze Moore as taking away from my Twitter. Keep doing it. This is how you win elections, but more importantly, listen, it's how you win over people's minds. The democratization of information. The left can't do it. They see everything as power, power, power. This takes from me, takes from me. That's why they're so miserable all the time. We're a bunch of happy warriors. Look at you guys in the chat. We got the McGroin crew. We're always trying to celebrate stuff. So thank you. All right, moving on, because I got to get to some more really substantive stuff. Folks, one of the things I pride myself on this show is debunking stupid left-wing narratives so that you have the material to go forward and in the educational part of the edutainment thing, educate your silly liberal friends sometimes about their dopey narratives. And I got to tell you, one narrative over the last few days that is driving me bananas is the Eric Adams case up in New York. Just a quick brief, here's an abstract on it. For those of you who don't know, most of you do, but Eric Adams is the mayor of New York. Not a particularly big fan of the guy. I think you know that. We were cops at the same time in New York, but that's a long story. I'm a spreadsheets guy. I don't get emotional. He's been a +1 on some issues lately, a negative on a whole lot others. You get the point. Eric Adams was under investigation by the Justice Department, the United States Justice Department, obviously, for what appeared to be some acts of corruption, kind of quid pro quos while we're on the topic, right? The Justice Department thought it was a weak case and needed Eric Adams, and as the mayor of New York City, a very important guy. They need him to clean up New York City because they've got a really bad public safety situation with illegal immigration. So I'm sitting here watching this, and have you seen the liberals melt down on this? You can't do these deals and offers with the Justice Department to meet public safety ends and all this stuff like that. That never happens. And I'm like, do we have any cops in the chat or feds? You don't have to out yourselves. I get it. I understand. But we probably do. If you feel comfortable and you have an anonymous name, go right ahead. Yeah. Contrary to what people say, we love anonymity. We just don't like deep staters pretending to be us, right? We love it. Cops and feds out there, you're probably laughing right now, correct? Because you know where I'm going with this? Freaking deals are cut all the time by the federal government and the Justice Department. For political reasons, too. Are you crazy? Did you miss something? So I decided to show you, Democrats, again, how crazy you are. Can't cut a deal with Eric Adams. Really? Then how come Obama was cutting deals with banks to let them off the hook for civil and criminal investigations as long as the banks did what Obama wanted? Oh, so it's cool with Obama, but it's just not cool when Trump does it. So again, you're just making it up. Here, watch yourself.
Under the terms of this settlement, America's biggest banks, banks that were rescued by taxpayer dollars, will be required to right these wrongs. And that means more than just paying a fee. These banks will put billions of dollars towards relief for families across the nation. They'll provide refinancing for borrowers that are stuck in high interest rate mortgages. They'll reduce loans for families who owe more on their homes than they're worth. And they will deliver some measure of justice for families that have already been victims of abusive practices.
Thank you, Sarge 3776. He says retired Fed Leo, stands for law enforcement officer. Damn right. Thank you, Sarge. Well, listen to the feds in my chat right now and the police officers. They're good guys. These are good, decent people who busted their ass, put their lives on the line, enforcing the law. Folks, this stuff happens all the time. You just listen to Obama say, hey, banks, we won't prosecute you, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to give a bunch of money to a bunch of left-wing groups out there. The left, not only did they have no problem with that, they loved it. The Justice Department Eric Adams case is far less awful than that. They don't think it's a great case to begin with, so you don't prosecute a case that you don't think is open and shut at this point, especially with such a serious outcome before an election and a primary. And second, they need something from the mayor. Make the United States safe. This happens all the time. Gosh, these arguments, can you lefties just get better at this? I got to tell you, you're going to almost make my show boring. It's so easy with you idiots. Nobody ever cuts deals in the federal government. Have you, guys, all right, chatsters, I need you again, folks in the chat. I can't call you chatsters. Some guy says he hates it, so I love my audience, right? Folks in the chat, There's actually a thing called a cooperation agreement in the federal government where bad guys agree to cooperate and do stuff for the Justice Department. You can look it up. It's called a cooperation agreement. There were 5K letters and all kinds. You really want to get into it back in it. Just look it up yourself. It's so easy. Now you see why the Democrat Party is committing suicide right in front of your eyes. Don't take my word for it. There was a Democrat, I believe it's CNBC, this guy Alex Karp, talking about the exact same thing. Folks, they will not get it together because they can't. Stay tuned. Last break. I got that. I got another Stephen Miller clip because this is just, I'm just having too much fun with his hits on CNN, just undressing all their stupid arguments. Hey, are you a yo-yo dieter? You know, you diet, lose weight, but then you gain it all back and then a few extra pounds and you lose it. You regain it all over again. It's dangerous. Can increase your risk of a heart attack, stroke, and it's really unhealthy. Type 2 diabetes cause other health problems as well. Break free of that diet pattern. Use what I used. Folks, I lost 30 pounds on this product. You don't have to take my word for it. Just go back and look at my shows from a year ago. You'll see my face a little rounder. I was getting way too big, and it wasn't muscle. And I didn't like it. My joints started to hurt. So I called up Miles at Brickhouse Nutrition. I said, you guys got something in the pipeline? He said, brother, you got to try lean. The science behind it's impressive. The studied ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. It helps you maintain healthy blood sugar, control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting it into energy. Really simple. If you're tired of losing weight and gaining it back, and you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, which is what I did, Lean was created for you. Let me get you started with 20% off when you use code DAN20 at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. That's code DAN20 at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. They're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease. They're not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Try it. Worked for me. And our last sponsor today, you know I love life hacks. I'm all about it. Bone Charge, BONCHARGE. They have an infrared sauna blanket and a red light face mask. Ever since they sent them to me and Paula, I really can't recommend them highly enough. I've been using it every night. It really helps me sleep. It's great for your skin. It's great for collagen production. The sauna blanket helps with muscle recovery and detoxification. It's easy to use. You just wrap yourself up and let the infrared heat work its magic. I've noticed an incredible difference in how my joints feel. I have really bad arthritis and how relaxed and rejuvenated. It helps me sleep like you wouldn't believe. The red light face mask is also incredibly impressive. Paula uses it every single night. Just look at my Instagram photos. I don't even want to tell you how old she is. She might kill me, but it doesn't matter. You're going to think she's 30 anyway, so we'll stick with that. Why? She uses the red light face mask. It's like a mini spa at home. If you're thinking of trying them out, you're in luck. Head to bonecharge.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino at checkout to get 15% off. Both of these products have made an incredible impact on our wellness routine. You're going to love them. Use code Bongino at BONCHARGE, bonecharge.com/Bongino, and save 15%. Check them out. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA and not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Thank you, Bone Charge. Here's what I mean. I was talking before about that Jen Psaki segment, how we are the media now. We have just gotten really good at this. Cross-promoting, pumping up X accounts we like, feeding off other people's content, and then using it in your show, and then sending people back to the Maze Moore account, and then sending them to Western Lensman. This only works for all of us. This is how we start a movement. Change is, change can be turned around. Change can change back. Movements are different. Donald Trump has started a movement, but Donald Trump has started a movement because of the buy-in by us. We are the media now. And it's really starting to freak out people on the left who are starting to realize that their own movement are cannibalistic, they eat themselves alive, and they get lost in emotion rather than results. Check this clip out.
What I don't like about what's going on is I just view this as, well, let's watch the Democratic Party commit suicide. And like, I've been a Democrat most of my life. I kind of view myself as outside it, but I don't like watching the Democrats just commit suicide. And what I see is most of the country doesn't really, at this point, given the fraud, waste, and abuse we know is there, 90% of the country is like, get rid of that fraud, waste, and abuse. And I just view this as yet another example of the progressive left boxing themselves into a suicide dance. Now, what the progressive left should be doing is saying, okay, Elon, you're clearly the most qualified person in the world to do something like this. We want a dialogue with you about how you're doing and what are you doing.
Folks, this thing goes on. These guys that you're seeing now, this is what kind of concerns me in a way. I almost don't even put that clip up in kind of a celebratory manner. We should be, right? The Democrats are recognizing they've got a problem and they've been on the wrong side of the political argument for a long time now. I don't say that because Democrats being on the wrong side of the argument has really assisted us in winning over hearts and minds. But I'm going to warn you in advance, like there are people in the party, and not just a few now, who are starting to figure this out. However, have no fear. The lunatics are still running the asylum. Here is CNN again. I want you to watch this. This is Stephen Miller on CNN. I'm trying to show you again how they cannot get past the emotion of we hate Elon, we hate Donald Trump. You've got people like this telling them it is popular. It is almost universally popular to clean up government waste and fraud. You're on the wrong side of it. And they're still trying to find ways to attack this effort. And Stephen Miller says, hey, listen, why aren't you guys celebrating this stuff? I don't understand. The answer is because they hate it. They're lost in emotion, not results. Watch this.
The interest payments on the debt exceed the national defense budget. The American people are exhausted and tired of watching their tax dollars be corruptly spent, abused, wasted, and in every sense robbed and stolen from them. This president, for the first time in history, is committed to restoring accountability at every level of the federal government. You may assert there's no waste in the Pentagon. You may assert there's no waste in
Stephen,
Treasury.
I'm not
you may assert there's no waste in HHS.
Stephen, I don't think anyone...
Then why are you not celebrating these cuts? If you agree there is waste, if you agree there is abuse, if you agree there is corruption, why are you not celebrating the cuts, the reforms that are being instituted? Every day that no action is taken, the entire salaries of American workers that are taxed disappear forever.
Stephen, let's calm down.
This is
we're not having a debate.
There's no reason
about whether there are places.
You are clearly trying to debate me, and I will be as excited as I want to be about the fact that we are saving Americans billions of dollars, that we are ending the theft and waste and grift and corruption, that we are stopping American taxpayer dollars from subsidizing a rogue federal bureaucracy that has been relentlessly weaponized against the American people.
Okay,
you
Stephen,
may not care about
I'm
this
not
issue.
Talking about
your colleagues may not
there's
care about
not
this issue.
area
But we care about this issue. The American people care about this issue.
They also care about privacy.
And the American
so
public overwhelmingly supports what President Trump is doing.
Folks, this is the Dan Bongino show your ass theory of liberal media people. I want you to understand whether it's the opening segment there with Breonna Keeler or this one on CNN. CNN and MSNBC are not acting logically with reason or using rationality. They simply hate Donald Trump. Donald Trump teams up with Elon, therefore by proxy they hate Elon. They're not acting rationally. Don't ask me why are they doing this. It's popular to cut government waste. They're going to destroy their party. I just played for you the Democrats saying they're destroying their party. There's going to be a couple of people in the party, like this guy before I played, saying they're committing suicide, who are going to see what's going on. But it's going to take a long time. That's why I'm telling you, we're in the golden age. We have about 2 years to really fix this government before the Democrats get over the emotions of we hate these guys. Every single argument they're making is ridiculous. Breonna Keeler or whatever those. I want to clean up government waste and fix it. Okay, we're cleaning up government waste. Why aren't you celebrating this? Because we really hate Elon? Here's part two of this. No, I want you to notice something here. She pulls this little trick here. She drops a huge L on this argument about IRS privacy and government employees. That those, are they peeking in on your information? She drops a huge L on it on the first part. So she switches it to a privacy argument. Privacy argument? The left wing didn't care about privacy when Lois Lerner and the IRS were hauled up in front of Congress for using your IRS data to target the Tea Party. The left defended it to the death. Everything they tell you is crap, just like the DOJ argument. The DOJ never cuts deals with Eric Adams. I just played for you Obama cutting a deal. But watch her change the argument to a privacy argument when she gets smoked on the open here. Check this out.
Will Doge employees be able to access individual taxpayer ID numbers and social security numbers?
No. But also, keep in mind, you keep
Will
talking
they be able
about
to
Doge
access
employees.
taxpayer bank account information?
They will not be able to access anything that any other appropriately authorized federal employee could access. When you keep talking about, quote, DOJ employees, you're just talking about federal workers. You're just literally talking about federal workers.
You see how she tries to switch the argument? So now she's not concerned about waste anymore. She loses the waste argument. So now she goes to, oh, it's all about privacy and IRS data. We're really concerned about that. Really? Because when there was a massive scandal not that long ago where the Obama IRS was targeting and had to publicly apologize for targeting conservatives and Tea Party people by accessing their data. And by the way, corrupting data and deleting IRS emails about what they did, the left defended this to the death. They'll defend it to this day. These people are liars and frauds. It is your job, the democratization of information, to spread this stuff around the conservative ecosystem. I want you to watch this Fox segment about Lois Lerner, who was running the IRS at the time when they were exchanging emails about how to target conservatives. The emails disappeared. I want you to notice how she pleads the fifth. They were so interested in information on the left that they celebrated her pleading the fifth and not telling you anything. Check this out.
Top Republicans are asking the DOJ to take a fresh look at evidence against Lois Lerner, the former IRS employee accused in 2013 of targeting Tea Party groups over their political views. Lerner called to testify to Congress, but pleaded the fifth.
Have not done anything wrong. I have not broken any laws. One of the basic functions of the Fifth Amendment is to protect innocent individuals, and that is the protection I'm invoking today.
In 2015, President Obama's DOJ refusing to file criminal charges. Then, Lerner resigned.
Notice what she does there, too. She first tells you how she's innocent and then says, oh, and I plead the fifth. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to invoke the Fifth Amendment, but I'm going to say something first. Where were all the left-wingers back then talking about, well, listen, these are government employees accessing our data, using our data to target us politically? Well, the answer is they weren't there because they're full of shit. That's why. Nothing they're telling you is true. They don't care about privacy. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you how corrupted this system is. This is a federal judge. He's on with a host of this show here. And this federal judge is asked about Lois Lerner. I want you to watch or listen to, in about a minute here, the hoops this guy jumps through to try and defend the IRS deleting emails, corrupting your data. What they accused DOJ of doing, they did themselves. What did Tucker always say? Whatever the left accuses you of doing, they're doing. I want you to watch this judge. His name may sound familiar, Reinhardt, right? Jump through hoops to defend deleting emails. Meanwhile, nothing's even happened with the DOJ selling your data or corrupting your data or anything. And they've already jumped through hoops to convict them that they're guilty. Check this out.
Someone in the administration admits that the destruction of 2 years of emails from Lois Lerner is fishy. To you, does this pass the smell test?
Yeah, unfortunately, having been in government a long time, the fact that, well, let me put it this way. Incompetence doesn't necessarily lead to criminality. So
and which out of those two scenarios right there seems more likely to you at this point?
Within the IRS, probably incompetence. The IRS has one of the most antiquated computer systems in the world. And the fact that emails could have disappeared without Ms. Lerner knowing about it or Ms. Lerner being involved is entirely credible to me. And that, I'm sure, will be her explanation, is that she was a very high-level person in the department. When the subpoena came in from Congress, it was delegated down to people who did this for a living. They were instructed to find everything. Information came back up to her that said, this is what we have. She reported what she was told, and it turns out not to be true. But that's not a crime. If she didn't know it wasn't true, that's not a crime. And that's going to probably be where her defense lies.
And one of the problems with that might be the fact that there have been some new emails surfacing that Lerner apparently warned some of her colleagues about that. Maybe you've seen those emails. Would that... And we have one on the screen here. I was cautioning folks about emails and how we had several occasions where Congress has asked for emails. Now, was this getting back to what you were mentioning at the very onset of this interview, where you have maybe this is a smoking gun that proves there was some sort of conspiracy here?
Possibly. It depends, again, how one reads that email. It could be read one way to say that destroy what we already have, which would, of course, be criminal. Or it could be construed to say, going forward, recognize that Congress may ask for our emails, so be careful what you put in writing. Because I think at the end of the day, What originally happened here is probably not a crime. And to the extent there's concerns about the non-production of the emails, I think she has enough insulation between her and those production issues that, barring some other real smoking gun, I don't see it.
They never see it because they don't want to see it. Yet with the Doge, you get the lens, the distorted lens with the Doge. When it comes to shrinking government, they see corruption everywhere. It's like The Sixth Sense, that movie. I see that people, right? They see it everywhere. They don't have any actual evidence. Brianna Keeler, CNN, none of them. Rachel Maddow, they have no evidence of any corruption at all, but they see it. But yet when corruption's in front of your face, the IRS actually apologized for targeting the Tea Party, deleted emails, and used your data to target you. They don't see it anywhere. I've never seen a clearer example of the schemes and scams the left pulls in the messaging wars than this. The Doge versus Lois Lerner in the IRS. Tim Burchett's great congressman from Tennessee. He was on CNN yesterday. This was a great hit. He's talking about exactly this again. This whole IRS argument that the Doge is somehow sneaking around your tax returns. Folks, tax returns, I mean, they have already, the tax returns were leaked. You had Donald Trump's tax returns leaked. The IRS has no, you had the guy who was just convicted of stealing all this data. OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, as data has been stolen by the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, the government employees have a near 10, 20-year history now, not all, but sadly some, of leaking or engaging in shady data practices that have led to the government getting hacked and information stolen. Elon's companies don't have any history of that. So I'll take his guys, sign them up for the government job, say, use your expertise to clean this up. Here's Burchett on CNN. Yeah, hey, this is a canard, this whole thing. Check this out. You'll see what I mean.
What information do you actually have on what Doge is doing with that data? What are your questions? What do you want to know? Certainly, as a member of the oversight, you have some questions.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk, when he owned PayPal, they never had a breach of security. IRS is a nightmare, ma'am. You have folks that still haven't gone back to work 3 or 4 years after COVID. As a United States congressman, I can write a letter of concern over a constituent of mine having a problem with the IRS, and it takes up to 6 months for me to get a response.
Look, I'm not saying there's no problems with government agencies or the IRS.
Hold on. You asked me a question.
But you're not answering it.
And the IRS the IRS has hundreds of different groups that have access to this stuff, and yet no one's complained about that.
Here's another host on the same as that, Pamela Brown. I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. They all blend in at some point. Well, they all spout the same stupid talking points. She asks him a question about the IRS inefficiencies, the Doge, and access. He's answering the question of how inefficient data exchange is with the IRS, that he can't even get answers for constituents. And her response is, well, I'm not saying there's no problem. Yes, you are saying you don't want to hear about the problems. He's telling you the problems, and you're ignoring it. Folks, we are the media now. Remember that Jen Psaki clip? That's a keeper. It's maybe one of the only true things she's ever said. We are the media now because we share, because we're not mercenary, and we're not selfish. The show's not about Dan Bongino. I've said it 1,000 times, and I back it up by action. We cite stuff. We hat tip people because it is my job to be an activist first and a host second. It's so good to have a conservative show with a country that's been taken over by a bunch of communists. Can we all agree? And thankfully, the Mark Levins of the world, Hannity and the other friends of mine see it the same way. I got my start with people like that. Glenn Beck, all of them. They helped me out when I needed. We are different. And I need you now, too. Because I need you to, again, debunk some more leftist crap out there right now as they try to eviscerate the Trump administration. Folks, President Trump and Secretary Duffy have been working overnight, ridiculously long hours, I know this for a fact, to try to fix the train wreck, pothole Mayor Pete, this life loser left behind at the Department of Transportation. Folks, it is a train wreck. Our infrastructure's fallen apart. The interstate highway system's a mess. Our airports are from the freaking Flintstones. The FAA air traffic control system is something out of like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. No one even knows what the hell, if it even works anymore. We've got staffing issues. You had DEI infecting the whole place. It's a train wreck. The secretary's been in there, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Hey, I'll add a few weeks for him. Say he's been in there 6 weeks. The place is a mess. It's going to take a while to clean up. So, of course, leave it up to the lefties to double down on an air traffic accident that happened in Canada that has nothing to do with the United States FAA, Secretary Duffy or Trump. Leave it up to them to try and put the blood on Donald Trump's hands, because this is what they do. Here, listen to Dana Bash on CNN. They can't stop, folks. They can't. Check this out.
This is happening against the backdrop of massive cuts across the federal government, including at the FAA. Just going to put some up on the screen. Hundreds of FAA employees have been laid off as part of Elon Musk going through all the federal agencies. And then beyond the FAA, we have 10% of the CDC workforce, 3,400 at the U.S. Forest Service, 2,200 at the Interior Department, 2,000 at the Department of Energy, 1,000 at the VA.
Okay, so what do we do on this show? We do facts. It's really crazy. Wait, what is that? that is pretty... We do facts. So Dana Bash, of course, total life loser, on her show is eager to pin a deadly, tragic accident on the new secretary and the president of the United States. Of course, there's no actual evidence, just like they don't have evidence of anything we've showed you during the show. Matter of fact, we have counter evidence because we produce receipts. She puts up a chart showing that, about 10,000 people have been let go from the government, and she notes FAA people too. Now, notice what she leaves out. It's a lie by omission. That none of those people are actually air traffic controllers, and the accident was in Toronto, which last time I checked was in Canada, which is not yet the 51st state. They are a separate country, okay? I mean, I'm not great at geography, but I'm pretty sure it's right north of us. It doesn't matter. Oh, thank you. Here's a chart. Hundreds of FAA employees. None of them are safety people either. None of them. So I just thought, facts kind of matter here. So she's talking about 10,000 people. How many people work in the federal government? So, Michael, I did this crazy thing. You know what I put in the search engine? What do you think question I put in there? How did you know that? This guy's so smart. He's like a math major. I actually put in a search engine, how many people work for the federal government? And it's crazy. A website called USA Facts. How many people work for the federal government? Around 3 million. So the federal government is so sensitive to personnel exchange. By the way, more people resign every year than is up on Dana Bash's chart. The federal government is so sensitive and fragile that out of a bloated 3 million person workforce, when 10,000 people go and 100 or so people who are new and weren't even safety people, the whole government's going to collapse. Wow. It's good to know. I'm not sure you're making the argument you think you are. But leave it to left-wing lunatics to engage in meltdowns, ridiculous anti-Trump hyperbole. You want to see the show your ass theory in action, where Dana Bash has to say something dumb, making this ridiculous, alluding to the fact that, these layoffs may have something to do with a plane crash in Canada, which only a moron would believe. So what the show your ass theory is, other liberals have to say something even crazier to get attention. Here is Brian Tyler Cohen. I've never seen this guy's show, but we're going to make him famous now. Here is Brian Tyler Cohen just having a meltdown. He needs to see a psychotherapist. Again, trying to blame this on Donald Trump. Of course, Mayor Pete and him have nothing to do with it, despite having been in charge for the last 4 years. Check this out.
The reality is that Trump rammed through a bunch of unqualified nominees to lead departments that they were incapable of leading, and this is what happens as a result. This right here is the consequence. Donald Trump owns all of this. Elon Musk owns all of this. And all of these spineless Republican senators who greenlit Sean Duffy own all of this. These people are such fucking cowards that they felt it was more important to kowtow to Daddy Trump than actually take their advice and consent role seriously. And now, we can barely go a day without a plane crashing somewhere in this country.
Folks, this is why that guy, Alex Karp, that CNBC segment I showed in the beginning, who says, hey, I'm a Democrat, but this party's committing suicide, It is the show your ass theory in action. They don't care what they're saying is ridiculous. Secretary Duffy and Donald Trump have nothing to do with a plane crash in Canada, okay? That looks like it could have been potentially error or they have nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter. You have to say increasingly crazier things to get attention. Like this one, too. Here's Jen Rubin, commentator at the Washington Post, or when she resigned, I don't even know. You want to talk about someone who constantly has to one-up the crazy? I want you to listen to her and George Conway, that's a whole other story, on a panel talking about how Trump voters, implying that you ladies and gentlemen out there, that you can't even read. Do you doubt me? Listen to yourself. Check this out.
Why would ABC, Disney, the mouse, who has more money than God, settle with Donald Trump?
I honestly don't know.
You know, I've asked, why would ABC? But people ask me all the time, why is the media so mamsy-pamsy? And there are two explanations. One is they are convinced that if they would just move a little bit to the right, all those MAGA readers out there, now you'll notice the contradiction in terms, MAGA readers, would pick up the Washington Post and they would have more readers. What is the logical fallacy here? Yes, reader.
Notice everybody in the audience laughs too. They think it's hilarious. No one corrects her and says, hey, Jen, we just lost in a landslide every single swing state. Despite not having the media, academia, the sports world, CEOs, boards, we have none of it. We have all of the left, the MAGA crowd has none of it. And we just lost. Maybe it's us. Nobody, they think it's hilarious. This is the show your ass theory in action. They will keep doing this. It's the only way to get attention is to say increasingly crazy stuff. How the hell these politicians get so rich? How did they get so rich? I saw this clip of me last week with the long sleeve white shirt on. By the way, I didn't know everybody liked that shirt. I didn't even like the shirt. I said to Paula, I don't think the shirt looks good on me. Everybody seemed to like it in the chat. So, but I see this clip of me rolling around on X. I think MAGA Voice put it out there. Great account to follow on X. Asking this simple question. How the hell do these politicians get so rich? I'm serious. You all know some super talented people, correct? Yet most of us don't know a lot of rich people unless you're running in that circle. I mean, you got your doctors, your dentists, your lawyers, professional services, but, we don't typically know a lot of one percenters. How the hell did such mediocre people all get rich? It is all tied to this Doge story. Folks, they are getting rich off of their connections and their ability to use this base of $4 or $5 trillion of your taxes to have it flush through people, family members and everyone else, the Hunter Bidens of the world, that are making them rich. Follow the money. Follow the money. That is why they are freaking out about the Doge thing. This is a massive, massive story. It's not a one-day story. It's not a one-month story. This is like a 4-year story. I got that and a huge, huge security threat I cannot bring up enough to you. Please listen to me. I am laser focused on this thing. This is my biggest security concern, having been in this space for a long time. And a lot of people are worried about it. I'm not the only one. Big show today, a lot to talk about. Hey, the average person today is feeling the financial strain now more than ever. Expenses are up and wages aren't keeping pace. A lot of people are finding it almost impossible to make ends meet. With little left over after covering the basics, it's no surprise that many are resorting to credit cards just to get by, carrying really high balances and interest rates in the 20s or even 30s. If you are a homeowner and you're stuck in this cycle of mounting debt, call my friends at American Financing. They've been with us a long time. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving homeowners an average of $800 a month, helping you put your hard-earned money back where it belongs. Plus, if you act now, you might even be able to skip your next mortgage payment. There are no upfront fees, so it costs you nothing to find out how much you could save each month. It's time to break free from the stress of debt. Call American Financing today and take control of your financial future. 888-994-7660 is the number. That's 888-994-7660. Or visit them online. It's a .net address, not a .com. It's AmericanFinancing.net. AmericanFinancing.net. Check them out. NMLS 122334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. All right, fellas, let's go. Hey, serious time right out of the gate. Folks, you know I got a security mind in me. It's just I've never been able to get that whole side of me away from the NYPD and my later job with the federal government. I've got this, you got to cover security A to Z. Now, I understand that the big security threats, street crime, A, B, C, the stuff that happens sadly every day across America are priorities. But we also have to think about what I'll call the Z threats. When you get to the end of the alphabet, these are things that are extremely unlikely, black swan type scenarios. The problem is, although they're black swan scenarios, meaning the likelihood of them happening is small, the downside of them, the both direct and externalities problem, negative externalities caused them, are so dramatic. It's like a plane crash. Sadly, it's what you saw yesterday what happened. The likelihood is low, but the effect on everyone is so dramatic, not just the people who died and are in it, but everyone else freaks out about the air business too. That's the externality. These black swan, we'll call them Z events, are so devastating, they can change America and the world. Folks, this drone threat, I hate to lose sleep at night stuff, but I'm telling you, if I ever lost sleep about anything, it's about this. This is a very real threat in population centers in America and around the world. I'm focused on America now. Times Square, Beverly Hills, areas where there are big, Chicago, the Miracle Mile, all these places where you're going to get a ton of media attention. I bring it up because Axios, which isn't my favorite outlet, obviously left-leaning, but they're not wrong with this is headline their morning email this morning. America's drone swarm crisis. Yes, 100%. They note, ask U.S. intelligence experts their biggest fears, and you'll inevitably hear dire warnings of drone swarms. We've been talking about this how long? Domestic or foreign, targeting American soil. Probe deeper, and you'll learn the vast majority of these drones are made by China and therefore conceivably controllable by America's greatest adversary. They know TikTok's accused of being a security threat, but at least they can't spy or drop bombs. I'm not a huge fan of Axios, but Mike Allen, who put this, is absolutely spot on. Folks, this is an enormous threat. Let me see. Folks in the chat, why? Why take a drink of water? Anyone know why I've said it 1,000 times? Why are drones such a unique threat? Let's see who gets it first. I love you guys in the chat, by the way. Drone swarm. Axios, not wrong for one, says MCS. Who says it here? Come on. Yes! Matthias Powerbomb again. The guy, man, you got some quick thumbs there. Because people can't fly, folks. This is not a complicated security threat to figure out. You get a special ops team on the ground and you sense a target in the wood line, you can clear the target. You can have a sniper engage the target. What the hell are you going to do with a drone? You need some way to target it in the air. Well, we can just shoot it down. You better hit it because bullets have this really funny way of obeying the laws of gravity and coming back down. This is a really difficult threat. I have been focused on like a laser on this, written books about this stuff. The drone threat is really scary. And if they're going to hit us, they're going to hit us in a population center. And we've got to be doing everything we can to mitigate as much as we can from this threat. I just throw that out there because, again, even left-wingers are focused on it. Now, let me get back to what I opened up the show with today. Folks, how are politicians getting so freaking rich? Again, I wrote a book on it, Follow the Money. I keep it on my desk because it always reminds me to follow the money. When you follow these money trails, there is a reason the left loves NGOs and non-governmental organizations and lobbyists. They love them because they can go and work there with these groups later on when they leave Congress or the Senate and make a lot of money, or these people can flush a lot of money into their campaigns. They can flush a lot of money into their family members. This is what happened with the whole Ukraine thing, with Biden when he was vice president. These politicians are mediocrities at best. There's a reason they're in politics. The reason they're, not all of them, But the reason many of them are in politics is because they can't do anything else. So if they can't do anything else, how the hell are they making so much money? They are making it through government and government connections. I say that because I'm getting bombarded with questions from people. Maybe they're not listening to every show every day, which I understand. You have your own thing going on. But the gist of the question is this, and I wrote it down because I didn't want to lose my thought in the beginning of the show. Can you imagine being so out of touch with actual voters as a political party that you're fighting against fraudulent, wasteful, even potentially criminal government spending? Even Jim Carville, the Ragin' Cajun, a Democrat operative. Did you hear him this morning? I should get the cut, but Carville said on Ari Melber's show on MSNBC about fighting against the Doge that, what's the line he said? Don't just sit there, do nothing. Sounds like it's contradictory. He's telling them, stand down on the Doge, Democrats. You look like assholes. You guys are fighting against what 50 to 60% of Americans see as a necessary kind of trimming of the government tree. Do you understand how out of touch they are? The reason they're out of touch is it's intentional. They're going to go broke. Follow the money. Their choices are go broke, which they don't want to do, or stand up for fighting government abuse. They don't want to do it. They're not going to go broke. Or stand down, and they're going to stand down, and they're going to fight this thing. Here's what I mean. Here's Stephen Miller, a senior advisor, one of the chiefs of staff in the Donald Trump White House, a really good guy. Here is Stephen Miller on a Fox hit yesterday. I got two Stephen Miller cuts, one later on, but this one's important. They discovered a foreign fraud ring in our entitlement programs. Folks, even if you are not against government waste, and you love government waste, I should say, not to use a negative there to describe it. If you're for government waste, at least waste it here, right? If you're going to waste government money and piss it away in a toilet bowl, at least waste it on U.S. citizens. Nope. They found nobody cares on the left. Watch this.
As we know, there's a massive amount of fraud in this country. You have, for example, foreign fraud rings. These are foreign nationals who come into the United States. They use fake Social Security numbers. They use fake identities to steal billions in taxpayer benefits. There's no way to know until Doge gains full access exactly how much money we're talking about. But over a 10-year normal budget window, you could be talking about saving over $1 trillion by clamping down on massive fraud in our tax and entitlement systems, including, again, those carried out by organized fraud and theft rings. A very important point in all of this is to understand that Doge are subordinate staffers of the federal government. They are political appointees, just like me, just like everyone else in the White House, that serve and answer to the president. So we're not talking about an outside private entity. We're talking about the existing federal staff of the federal government performing their statutory and constitutional duty.
Can you imagine fighting this? Folks, again, if you're a delusional liberal watching my show and you're not interested in government fraud because you're afraid it's going to, wrap up and dry up your gravy train, how is it that wouldn't you at least agree, like, if we're going to waste the money, at least waste it here? At least if it's fraudulently spent, it's spent in the United States. I don't want any fraud or criminality. I think that's fairly obvious. I think you sense my sarcasm, correct? However, foreign fraud rings. So if you are a huge supporter of Social Security and Medicare, I believe these programs have bankrupted themselves, need to be reformed. We do have to protect our seniors. I get all of that. But still, how do you make the argument to America's seniors? You paid into a system. The system is going broke. Its own actuaries have told you that. It's going to be effectively out of IOUs in about 10 to 14, 15 years, right? You paid into it, and you're not going to get your money because people who didn't pay into it, fraudsters overseas, have stolen it? How are you? You really believe this is a political winner? The answer is it's a freaking gravy train for them. They don't care. This will be the end of the Democrat Party as you know it if they don't back off this. But they won't because they'll go broke. Carville's been around forever. He's warning them. This is a loser. I'm not even a fan of Carville. What's that? That's fine. Put up the Kyle Becker tweet, too. Here's another one. How are you against this? Even if you're a liberal lunatic, how are you against this? Kyle Becker, shock. The U.S. Army's diverted over $151 million meant for soldiers' food, according to Military Times. What? There's apparently some food shortages on these bases. And there's some, I mean, how crazy do you have to be to not want to fix that? You've got soldiers who are making no money, sacrificing their, swearing to give their lives for you so we can sit around. Look at all these Fort Stewart, Fort Drum, Fort Carson, all this money. Look at the $22 million collected, $5 million spent on food in Fort Carson. Where the hell's the money going? How are you against this? I didn't even know there was a part 2 to that. Sorry, I said it wrong. How? You know, I say it often to our law enforcement, our military people. This one directed at our military. We love you guys. Everybody give a salute to our military in the chat. You know, the salute, you guys and ladies signed up to risk your actual lives, not hyperbolically. Your actual lives are at risk. And you do it. And we can't even feed you properly? And we don't know where the money is? If you're defending this, man, you should have listened to Carville. Oh, you haven't? Oh, cool. Here, this guy's a Democrat telling the other Democrats, hey, man, you better chill on this Doge. Thank you for, look at that. Look at that. American flags in the chat. Amen, brothers and sisters. God bless America and all those who defend her. Here's Carville warning the Dems. Check this out.
This is not even what people voted for. Even if they are anti-Trump voters, they're calling out a lot of things that they say exceed the president's authority or are dangerous or are gutting of the federal government. What's happening here? What do you see?
What I see is something organic coming up from around the country. I don't think that there was a lot of organization. If you remember in 2017, you had like 1 million women on the mall. This is happening all around the country. So the question is, how should Democratic politicians respond to this? And what I think they should do is what we call in rural America, play possum. Just let it go. Don't get in the way of it. Or as we like to say, don't just stand there, do nothing.
Listen, I'm not a huge fan of Carville, obviously, but I like to understand the left. They don't want to understand us. That gives us an asymmetrical advantage in this political tactical warfare game. They don't understand us, but we understand them. Don't just stand there, do nothing. But they can't. You know, I saw, I was watching, I like to watch The Five, and Gutfeld's always great on the show. And Gutfeld feels the same way I do. Hey, we're not giving the Democrats advice. They're not taking it anyway. I'm just trying to explain to you so we have an information advantage over them why they're doing what they're doing. Because if you follow the money, they're getting rich off it. They would rather forfeit their political careers than lose their gravy train, which has been taxpayer dollars, because they have no real skills, folks. They can't actually do anything else. This is what a loser this is for them. Here he is again, Harry Enton on CNN, their pollster. We use him often because I don't want to be accused of political bias, right? Here's Harry Enton, CNN polling analyst, talking about how Trump's popularity since he started doing this has jumped, and the Democrats don't get it. This is your inaction, the Dan Bongino show your ass theory, where this small group of radical Democrats have hijacked the whole party, and you, in order to compete for donor dollars and interest group dollars, you have to constantly show your ass to people, which no one wants to see. Someone insults Trump, calls him a racist, you have to call him a Nazi fascist racist. Someone calls him a Nazi fascist racist, you have to call him misogynistic, racist, murderer, serial killing, pedophile. You see how they have to up the ante to attract attention? That's why you're seeing this. Here's a show your ass theory in action. Check this out.
CBS News out with a new poll showing that Americans seem to be liking what they're seeing. But it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I mean, look, but it's not just CBS. You know, I like to take an average of the polls. And holy smokes, I mean, look at what the difference is between now versus 8 years ago during the first Trump term, right? This is Trump's net approval rating on February 10th. You go back to 2017, Trump was already underwater at -5 points on the net approval rating. That's approval minus disapproval. What a difference 8 years makes. He's on the positive side of the ledger at +4 points.
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. Dan, don't give them tactical advice. You think they're listening to me? They're not even listening to the pollster on CNN. You think they're not watching these segments? What do you think? They're watching Fox? They see it. They're never going to give up the gravy train. We need to hammer this home to persuadable Democrats, independents, and moderate Republicans who may have left the MAGA movement. Donald Trump is cleaning up a massive government fraud problem that Democrats and swampy Republicans have benefited from for years. I covered that yesterday. We have not given Republicans a pass. I covered that. Watch yesterday's show if you think I'm BSing you. I covered Wall Street Journal segments and other segments where some Republican lawmakers are like, hey, that cutting's great, but don't cut anything in my district. I saw someone, I liked the tweet, say today, they tweeted to their lawmaker, hey, Dan Bongino is right. Everybody is going to take a little bit of a kick in the stomach here. Everyone. There's going to be a weapons program in your district. There's going to be some NGO a friend of a friend may work for. Ladies and gentlemen, you want you want to be statesmen in the spirit of our revolutionary forefathers who gave up everything to fight the world's greatest empire at the time, the British Empire? We're just asking you to sacrifice for a little bit for the long-term prosperity of the United States. Now's the time. We are never going to be in a golden age of politics again like we are in the next year and 11 months now. We have 2 freaking years. We're all going to take it on the chin a little bit. Rich guys, poor guys, middle-class guys, someone's going to lose their tax cut. It is time to take it on the chin. We got to fix this thing now, not tomorrow. The other side is I'm going to play my other Stephen Miller clip because he's talking about he was on Fox again, how this is simply a basic anti-fraud review. We're not even into the real cuts yet. We're into fraud, wasteful spending, criminality. How are you on the other side of that? You're on the other side of it if you're getting rich off it. Remember, who loves crime? The criminals. Hey, the April 15 tax deadline is coming fast. You have unfiled tax returns, can't pay the IRS. The IRS is more aggressive than ever, and the longer you wait, the worse it gets. Wage garnishments, bank levies, even property seizures are on the table. You need to get ahead of it. But going up against the IRS alone is a mistake. Call the experts at Tax Network USA. They know the system. They have an edge as well, a preferred direct line to the IRS. They know the agents to work with and who to avoid. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their genius strategies are designed to quickly settle your tax problems in your favor. Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Tax Network USA can help you too, but you need to move fast. April 15th is almost here. Talk with one of their strategists today with no obligation. Stop looking over your shoulder and put your tax problems behind you. Call Tax Network USA at 1-800-958-1000. That's 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dan. Thanks, Tech and Tax Network. Okay, back to the show. The only people who love crime are the freaking criminals because that's where they make their money from the crime because they can't do anything else. Sounds like a lot of our corrupt politicians. Here's Stephen Miller again. You really want to be on the wrong side of this? Take James Carville's advice, Democrats. I know you won't, but don't just stand there and do nothing. Check this out.
We are talking about performing a basic anti-fraud review to ensure that people are not engaging in large-scale theft of federal taxpayer benefits. I mean, for example, we pay billions of dollars a year in child tax credit payments to illegal aliens. Billions with a B. So these are systematic, programmatic reforms that we're talking about here.
Okay, I'm about to blow your minds with a segment. Maybe a little dramatic. I don't want to be over the top and hyperbolic. I hate exaggeration for effect. However, this is a segment that has fascinated me forever because I'm going to prove to you that cutting government criminal fraud, waste, garbage, junk payments, overspending, missing account transactions, missing payment fields, this is so unbelievably popular that even people you think would support excessive government spending, Democrats, no. They're liberals, yes. Radical Democrats, yes. There is a huge chunk of the Democrat Party. I'm being too verbose. We can steal a bunch of Democrat votes if we win this argument. I know that sounds crazy, and I promise I'm about to back up what I say with receipts. Opinions are bullshit. All that matters is receipts. I'm going to back it up for you right now. Donald Trump, if he continues with Elon and for 4 years cleans out this government mess and saves a couple $1 trillion over 4 years or more, he is going to steal a huge chunk of Democrat voters and could leave office one of the most popular presidents in modern times. Could. Okay, back it up. Big claims like that require what? That's right, folks in the chat. Big evidence. So here it is. You ever wonder why Bill Clinton, obviously a Democrat, left office at close to 60% approval? Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Clinton, there was actual biological evidence of him committing sex acts in the Oval Office. I mean, it's not funny, but Bill Clinton, didn't he lose his law license? I mean, Bill Clinton is on video. You can play right now. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And then, a year later, well, had sexual, I'm sorry. Bill Clinton left office, look it up, with high 50s, low 60% approval. Do you have any idea how high that is? In a country that's basically 50-50, meaning a lot of Republicans liked what Bill Clinton did, a good chunk of them, and a whole ton of Democrats did. How is that? Bill Clinton, between Rose Law Firm, Whitewater, you know how many scandals him and Hillary had? Hillary Care blows up. Why did he leave office? I'm going to tell you why right now, and I'm going to put the numbers to back it up. Here is Bill Clinton in his own words talking about how important it is to make government more efficient and cut the fat. Bill Clinton, the Democrat. Check this out.
First, I am ordering a reduction of the federal bureaucracy by at least 100,000 positions over the next 4 years. At least 10% of these cuts must come from senior management. These cuts will make our government more efficient and more effective. The government is full of dedicated people whose hard work is being choked off by our own bureaucracy. Second, I'm ordering each federal department and agency to reduce its administrative as opposed to its program cost by 12% over the next 4 years. With better planning and innovation, we can make better use of the money we already have. In many agencies, overhead is too high, red tape is too thick, and the day-to-day operations of the agencies have not been re-examined in a very long time.
Folks, this guy engaged in a sex act with an intern and lied about it under oath in the Oval Office, and he left office with 60% approval. Why? Why? Well, I'm going to attribute this to Bill Clinton's efforts. Let's be clear. Let's be absolutely clear so there's no misinterpretation. Bill Clinton was a Democrat and will always spend like a Democrat. Newt Gingrich and the Republican Congress pushed him into some spending controls. But to be fair to history, Bill Clinton signed the budgets and it happened. We're not going to lie about stuff like the Democrats. The Democrats used to celebrate the mythical Clinton surplus too. Here is a Democrat congressman from Colorado, Michael Bennet. I say the mythical Clinton surplus because you've heard it 1,000 times, right? That Bill Clinton ran a government surplus. I'll get to that in a second. But Democrats used to realize that people don't want governments going into piles of red ink. Here's a Colorado, these are quick, Colorado Democrat. Again, celebrating the Clinton surplus. Check this out.
I want to paint a very brief history for you because I think it's worth remembering this contextually. When Bill Clinton, a Democrat, left the presidency, he left behind a surplus.
Okay, he didn't leave behind a surplus, but you see what I'm trying to get at here? The Democrats are not stupid. They fully understand that the very rational, reasonable, educated American voter is not interested in endless piles of government red ink, so much so that Democrat, Michael Bennet, is celebrating that Bill Clinton ran this mythical surplus. Here's Margaret Hoover, a pretty mainstream Republican. She's doing an interview with Robert Reich. We don't need to hear from him. But here she is, too. Again, not some far-right MAGA person or whatever like that. Not that that's even a fair characterization, but you get the point. talking about the mythical Clinton surplus. Check this out.
You served in the Clinton administration, which of course was the last administration, with the help of a Republican Congress, to achieve this historic budget surplus.
Okay, there was no Clinton surplus. So I'm going to make 2 points for you. It seem contradictory here, but they aren't. The first one, a Democrat, Bill Clinton, left office with unbelievable approval ratings despite a multitude of scandals. I'm telling you, because of his efforts to trim government, which led to a pretty decent growth rate while he was in office. Point number one. In other words, if Donald Trump does the same thing, we can steal some of those Democrat voters and carry that over, hopefully into a Don Trump Jr., Eric Trump, or J.D. Vance presidency next. We can steal so many Democrat voters on the spending issue. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. They used to run on this. And the second point I'm going to make is the Clinton surplus is a myth. And I don't want you to fall for it. It is yes, government spending was much lower, no doubt about it. Newt Gingrich and Clinton did a decent job on that. There was never a surplus. I'm going to prove it to you coming up next, because there's not a single topic out there that ticks me off more than people who make up the Clinton surplus. There's no such thing if you actually understand how numbers work. He did not run a surplus. I'll make that quick, and then I got a lot more to get to, because they may be permanently out to pasture, folks. That what they are doing on the media appearances is just a disaster. Hey, Blackout Coffee. Time to be awake, not woke. We love Blackout Coffee. It is an America First company. They make bold, never bitter coffee using premium beans that ship fresh within 48 hours of roasting when you order online. You believe that? They honor and take care of their customers, and they love America. The coffee's delicious. They have a cinnamon French toast flavor that is just to die for. You know what I do with it sometimes? I make a little bit of it, like a half a cup, and I pour it in a protein shake. It's that good, okay? Most people don't even know what premium coffee tastes like, because we're used to these woke mega corporations pushing these crap beans on us. Don't. I'm proud to personally recommend Blackout Coffee, the official coffee of Bongino Army. Skip those long lines, order online. Do me a favor, go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino and see what I'm talking about. They're the real deal. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. Or use coupon code Bongino for 20% off your order. Make the switch to Blackout Coffee. You're going to love it. And our last sponsor today is, and I'll get back to the Clinton, so I'm going to do you guys a huge favor. There we go. Birch Gold. Have you seen the news from some economists? Forecasting a depression, not a recession, by 2030. We could be in the perfect storm if Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point with the largest generation hitting retirement. Smaller workforce usually means a smaller tax base. Pair that with our growing national debt and rising cost of living, and we could have a big problem. So what are you doing now to help protect your family for the future? Gold's been a safe haven asset in hard economic times. Birch Gold makes it really easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. That's what I did. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. Help protect your future today. Text Dan to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold and a copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era, with a forward by Don Trump Jr. There's no obligation, only information. Scroll down for me, guys. I buy my gold from Birch Gold. You can trust them too. So text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 today. Again, text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 today. Message and data rates apply. Thank you, Birch Gold. Always good to have you on board. Okay, just quickly before I move on to my segment here about more disgraceful Democrat media lies and our efforts to dismantle them. So in the Dan Bongino Show, you have the truth. This is one of the biggest but most persistent lies in politics. Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich did a decent job on spending. Period, full stop. That's not open for debate. There's a great article. I cannot recommend this article in strong enough terms. I used to put this in the show notes 4 or 5 times a week. You want it? Go to my newsletter. Bongino.com/newsletter. Sign up. It's free. It's going to be linked there. Just go today and do it and save this article. It's called The Myth of the Clinton Surplus. The article's from almost 20 years ago. It's by this guy, Craig Steiner, but it is worth your time. There was no Clinton surplus. You can read the whole article, but you don't need to. All you need to do is look at this data from the government itself. You will notice every single year of the Clinton presidency, from 93 to 2000, that the government ran a deficit. 281 billion, 281 billion, 250 billion, 188 billion, 113 billion, 130 billion, 17.9 billion. So if that's every single year of the Bill Clinton presidency, So if the government ran a deficit every year, a deficit means they didn't have enough money, which is the opposite of a surplus. Is anything I'm saying confusing to the libs? They got close in 2000 where they only ran a basically $18 billion deficit. There was never a surplus. So Dan, why do they keep talking about a surplus? Because of Social Security and Medicare funds that were basically stolen. Read the article. There was never a surplus. If there was a surplus, the freaking deficit would have gone down and would have been a surplus. No year of the Clinton presidency was there a surplus. There was a deficit every single time. They were small. Good for them. It's not real. Don't fall for it. Don't be a sucker. Read this guy's article. However, they did do a decent job. 2000, they did almost balance the budget, which is insane. That's pretty good. We get back there, Donald Trump will leave office with 60% approval. Folks, the Dems they're going to be permanently out to pasture if they continue to fight on this. You understand that lies and BS is the only thing they have to stop this gravy train? They have to follow and keep the money trail going because they're getting rich off it. So what they're going to do is they're going to keep making up a litany of fake stories. You guys are the media now. You've gotten so good at debunking this stuff that they're not even focusing on yesterday's BS story. They're just moving on to another one, kind of throwing crap at a wall and seeing what sticks now. You've got to be quick, though. You got to clean it off quick and get moving. Here's what I mean. Here's disgraced vice presidential candidate for Hillary Clinton, Tim Kaine, senator from Virginia. Guy's got his own issues from what I heard, if you watch my story from a couple weeks ago. Just making up a story completely about the Doge and classified information as if there's been some law broken or something like this. This is just a total fabrication. Check this out.
Yesterday, the Doge guys post classified information on their website, and they had to realize, we didn't realize that agency was a classified agency. You shouldn't let people run rampage through offices that have classified information.
Okay, he's just making that up, folks. He's making that up. Katie Miller, who knows all about this is a blatant lie, deliberate misinformation. The information on Doge.gov is sourced from longstanding public OPM data on their website. It's even annotated on the Doge website. This is why Americans don't trust the media. Folks, they lie to you all the time. The lying has gotten so bad that now they've resorted to owning themselves in their own clips in an effort to stop people like me, Mike Benz, Tucker, and others, Shapiro, Levin, from exposing what Elon's exposing in this Doge. There's this positive feedback loop now where we get this information and run with it every day that we never had before. Levin and I have been doing radio a long time. We don't have access to government systems. Finally, Donald Trump running the executive branch, like, we're going to clean this up and show you what's under the rock. And it's all ugly. This is hilarious. This is one of the dopiest people in the media, this Brandy Zadrozny. She is the Taylor Lorenz of NBC. I mean, a woman who has made a career out of face planting. She seems to genuinely hate when conservatives best her on a story. So she doesn't like the fact that Mike Benz has 20 times the audience and is exposing this USAID thing. So this is a great one. She face plants in her own video. It's like, well, listen, Mike Benz claiming that media is like profiting off this. And then she goes on to show how the media is profiting off this in her own video. Check this out.
Now, neither Musk nor Benz has offered any tangible evidence of the crimes they say USAID committed, and they didn't respond to my requests for comment. But a lot of their posts include misleading claims or outright falsehoods that can be easily debunked, like accusations that USAID was funding news agencies like Politico. Government records show agencies across the federal government were actually paying for premium subscriptions.
You folks in the chat here, am I missing something? They claim these companies are profiting from the federal government, and they show evidence that these companies are profiting from the federal government. Now, listen, last time I checked, I'm reasonably sure when you guys are pretty deep into the business of Bonginoing. Have you seen a flush of a slush fund of money coming in from the government for Dan Bongino local subscriptions? Have you seen? Cause I haven't seen it. Yeah, we all wish. Yeah, it'd be great if people were subscribing to our stuff. I don't want government. I don't want anything. I just want people. This is right. Yeah, like I said, are the rubles coming in? Like, I mean, what is going on? Like, we don't get any money from any of these people. But left-wingers do. You see how bad it is that Brandy, who's so dumb, she doesn't even realize she just self-owned and face-planted in her own video? These people make money by subscriptions. They're not selling gizmos or Ren and Stimpy dolls. They're selling news subscriptions, which the government is buying. You just made his point in your own video. Did you miss that? It's not profiting because they still lose money. Right, yeah, it's true. These media people, even with the subs, still lose. That's how bad their product is. Folks, we are on the right side of this argument. It is a huge political winner. And I told you that the lawfare was definitely going to backfire. The lawfare is going to cause two significant problems for the left. In other words, the constant litany of lawsuits. They're not listening to Carville. They are doubling down. And it's going to cost them a ton of time and a ton of money in the courts, while it doesn't cost Donald Trump anything. Donald Trump is paid to sign executive orders, manage our military, and execute on the executive branch. That's what he's paid to do. That's why you never relinquish power. You relinquish power. I hear this all the time from conservatives. Maybe we lead to lose an election badly and people wake up. Maybe not. That is a really, really dumb idea if you never relinquish power. Because power, you get paid to enact the power you've been constitutionally delegated with. The left doesn't get paid to do that. They are wasting a ton of money and time on lawsuits. Not only are they wasting a ton of money on time, factor number two is they are going to lose a lot of these lawsuits, and there's going to be legal precedent for there already is. It's called the Constitution. But in our broken court system, it's going to be reestablished. Here's what I mean. This was outnumbered yesterday. During the show, another big L for the left on the Doge. Check this out.
A federal judge has just declined to issue an order halting Elon Musk and Doge from accessing federal data and slashing personnel.
Folks, I told you, don't freak out over the lawsuits. I wish we did not have a weaponized judicial system where left-wing groups and NGOs work with liberal judges and forum shop to attack us using a judicial branch acting as a legislative and executive branch. I wish that weren't the case, but that's not the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. I live in the realpolitik world. The world we live in, systems break all the time. We fix them by keeping Republicans in power and nominating judges that actually do judicial work and follow their Article 3 responsibilities. That's how we win. I'm a game plan guy. I'm a spreadsheets guy. I want a freaking game plan. I don't want to hear about emotions all the time. Oh, this sucks. I know it sucks. A lot of things suck. How do we fix it? Sucks you make an error at shortstop and throw the ball away. You still got to field the next ground ball and get the guy out. I'm glad we've been ahead of this stuff. All of us. And you guys are starting to sense it too. That the left is really imploding here to the point where their own political analysts, guys like Carville, are starting to warn them this is not working out as intended. We have to stay focused, though. And another thing we spoke about over the last few weeks is don't get sucked into this social media vortex of overreacting to everything Donald Trump does, because you're going to find yourself getting kicked in the jimmy a lot. Because not everything Donald Trump does is supposed to be taken at its face. I don't want to say that don't take him seriously, don't take him literally, because sometimes you should. But it's more the crazy man theory of politics, that nobody knows what Donald Trump is going to do. And that's actually a tactical benefit. Here's what I mean. The Trump doctrine is starting to make sense now. The Trump doctrine is this, especially on foreign policy, although it applies domestically too, but this is a foreign policy segment. It's important. This involves NATO, so pay attention. This is super important. Take a maximalist position, a position you know you're not going to get. Make Canada the 51st state. You know, we need to annex Greenland. Take a maximalist position of 100. Sorry if you've heard this before, but it's important. No one else has even taken a 0 position in the past, but they're willing to accept the 10 position. The 10 position is an enhanced military. Let's use Greenland. Maybe we need to enhance our military cooperation with Greenland and our ISR surveillance capabilities on Greenland. That's maybe a 10. Donald Trump goes to 100. Let's annex Greenland, make it the 51st state or a U.S. territory. Donald Trump likely has 10 on his mind anyway, not 100, but he knows if he says 10, it's largely going to be ignored. So he takes a maximalist position, and it looks like he's a deal maker if he gets 10, and he looks like he was willing to cooperate. And look, he dialed it down. It's a genius thing. I'd sum this up better by the Donald Trump doctrine is in foreign policy, fix it or daddy's going to fix it for you. Middle East, Gaza, Greenland, fix it or big daddy's coming in. That's kind of the Trump doctrine. You getting it? It happened again. We called it. He did the exact same thing with NATO. NATO's been, folks, let's be candid. They're screwing around. NATO is not doing what they should be doing. They keep talking about the Russia threat in Ukraine, which is obviously real. The Ukrainians are living it every day. But the Russian-Ukrainian issue is a continental issue across an ocean from us. Not that we're not interested or it doesn't involve us. It does. But it's right in their backyard. And NATO is already flip-flopping some of the NATO countries, Germany included, on military spending. So Donald Trump comes out and says, okay, we're going to negotiate with the Russians on a peace deal. And by the way, Europe, you're not even at the table. So what happened? Here is the NATO chief, was it Michael Root, on Martha McCallum's show yesterday. You would think he would come out, right? If you're one of the suckers who don't understand the Trump doctrine, you would, what's that? Mark Root. You would think he would come out and say, double middle finger to Donald Trump. How dare you condemn us like that? That's not exactly what happened. Check this out.
We've seen some of these headlines coming out from leaders from Poland, basically saying that they understand that the situation is very different now. Europe absolutely must step up to the table in terms of expenditures. What is your take on these talks between the United States and Russia and Europe being excluded?
Well, this meeting was really very successful. What you see today, we had General Kellogg, President Trump's special representative at NATO this morning with the ambassadors, and now we had this meeting here in Paris with many European leaders, and really Europe is now stepping up. Last week, I was a bit disappointed that Europeans were saying, hey, we also have to be at the table, and why are we not there? And they're now really starting to dialogue, to strategize how they can support the peace effort. And that is important because we know that post a peace deal, there will be the need to make that peace deal lasting, enduring. And that means we need security guarantees.
Can you guys screenshot the Chiron from that? NATO, in case you're listening on Apple or Spotify and missing the visuals, this was on obviously Fox. It's Martha McCallum. NATO allies agree to bump up spending. How many times are these left-wing media lunatics going to fall in this trap with the Trump doctrine? Fix it, or Big Daddy's going to fix it for you. Either you guys start protecting your own continent, regional, geographic area, and we'll support you in that effort in a satellite or secondary role. We're not going to put our own troops on the ground. But we're not doing anything until you clean up the free speech situation. There it is. NATO allies agree to step up in defense spending. And you actually support your own military. Liberal lunatics who hate Trump out there, can you please explain to me what he said there, Donald Trump, that was in any way out of line? And tell me what, you disagree with the response? You don't want NATO to spend more? Folks, we've fallen into this rut of politics, and I've seen it 1,000 times. Republicans and Democrats both do it. Where the left-wing media obviously has an agenda. I don't want to beat the media up to death after the same because they got a lot more to get to here. But a Republican in the past takes a position. We need to fix Social Security. It's broken. They know what they're saying is true. The media responds and the left responds with some ad of grandma getting rolled off the cliff. And the Republicans, even though they knew it was going to happen, back down anyway, instead of going out and doing the responsible thing and making the case to the American public. Donald Trump, I told you I supported him precisely because he was in his second term. A lot of people hit me. A lot of people who supported Nikki Haley and others. Dan, he's going to be a lame duck. This is a lame duck? If this is a lame duck, give me more lame duckery. He's not a lame duck at all. He's a guy who is run out of F's to give. He doesn't care what the media says. He is engaging in maximalist Trump doctrine, politicking, and it's working. Fix it now, or Big Daddy's coming in to fix it for you, and you ain't going to like it. And shocker, NATO agrees to spend more money. Folks, this has caused a total meltdown by these idiots on the other side. They don't know what to do. The endless litany of fake news, misinformation, and disinformation has them grasping, just seconds after a tragedy, for talking points so hysterically stupid, you wonder how these people like Margaret Brennan and others are seriously kept on the air. It happened again yesterday. It was a really awful plane crash up in Toronto, which was awful no matter where it happens, of course. But for the lefties listening, that is not in the United States. I'm not sure they're aware of that. They thought because they had a baseball team, the Blue Jays, it was in the United States. It is not. Michael checked. Yes, he's correct. It is in Canada. That is not the United States. Donald Trump may make it there, will want to make it there, but it is not right now. It is still a separate country. It is not an FAA country that, well, they may follow it. You get the point. The Federal Aviation Administration is a U.S. entity. So plane crashes, within minutes of this thing happening, media people start to go nuts. Here is NBC's Tom Costello, really demanding why, I should say, showing you why, however much you can't stand the media, it's not enough. He manages to blame the United States and Donald Trump. It's insane. This is what they've resorted to. Check this out.
In terms of the recent string of aviation incidents, Tom, this is going to yet again raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. Now, this is a Canadian air traffic control tower, and this is under Canadian authority once it crosses the border. And yet, as you know, there has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President Trump's effort to trim down the federal workforce.
8.
Folks, the Canada doesn't. FAA is a U.S. government enterprise. Canada is not in the United States. The great irony of this is big government bureaucrats have been fighting FAA reform the entire time. The Canadians use a better system with buy-in from the airlines where it's a participator paid for enterprise. And they still had an accident that was likely weather related, maybe pilot error. We don't know. I don't care to speculate. The Bongino rule's in effect. Do you understand how these people like the Brandys, the Drosnys, and others, they're engaging in Fugazi-like insanity, and they're just burning whatever shred of credibility they had left? Here's Caroline Leavitt, our excellent press secretary, just dismantling this Tara Kopp. Tara Kopp. FAA News. FAA staff fired over the weekend, including personnel that worked radar, landing, and navigational aid maintenance. Hundreds were fired just weeks after a midair collision. One employee even said they were harassed on Facebook by the Doge. You were? That's interesting. Caroline Leavitt notes, more fake news from the AP. Doge doesn't even have a Facebook. Doge doesn't even have a Facebook page. No air traffic controllers, nor any professionals who perform safety or critical functions were terminated. Listen to me. Tim Kaine, Brandy Zadrozny, Tara Kopp, others, whoever they are. Folks, this is not going to stop. You are the media now. It is up to you to be the little Paul and Paulette Reveres for Caroline Leavitt in the White House. She can't do it all herself. You guys have significant followings on Twitter. If you have 1,000 followers, 500 followers, folks, that is a lot of people. You have any idea how hard it is to get 500 people in a room? My gosh, I mean, when I first started doing book signings 10 years ago, you got 100 people was a big deal. 500 people is a lot of people. You need to be the news now. You are the news. You need to combat crazy stuff. And of course, in honor of the legend for all the wrong reasons, Frank Fugazi. Of course, Fugazi had to get in the mix as well. What is this? Is this a video or? This is a Gee special, folks. I just want to throw this in there. These guys, him and Jim and the team, they did not want to exit today without us pushing. I haven't seen this without us pushing a Fugazi. So let me see what he's got. And this is going to be a live reaction.
With regard to this statement, which again, we shall not believe Reince Priebus when he says, don't worry, that someone who saves his country cannot violate a law. Okay, it's been attributed by some historians who aren't certain to Napoleon, but I'll tell you where it's definitely been used far more recently, and that's with a white supremacist, far-right extremist named Anders Breivik in Norway, who killed 77 people in Norway, the worst modern mass murder in Norwegian history. 8-8.
Again, folks, whenever you think you've hit the ceiling of potential insanity on the level, look at the Fugazis blowing up. You guys crack me up on the chat, folks. Listen, it is, I think did you guys just like melt that thing? My gosh. This is what you're going to get forward. I have a real plea for you, and I need you guys to digest all this, take it in, and rock and roll with this, okay? You're the media now. Do not play down whatsoever your audience. Your audience is real. Between Facebook, between TikTok, between Twitter, and between True Social, Rumble, and your other accounts, you have the ability to fight back against this endless litany of bullshit narratives that are about to come out. We have a golden age of politics we're living in right now for the next 2 years. If we don't take advantage of it now,